Well, that might be the case. That might be the case. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am making mistakes here today, left and right. We're now back on YouTube. I'm sorry that that happened. But anyways, we're on YouTube now, and this is the program. Ex Jehovah's Witnesses share their story of being in the Watchtower. So Anne Marie, you do agree with those numbers, then, huh?
Absolutely. Just from what I see on Reddit and what I see on YouTube, the amount of people who are physically in the congregations, most of them are young, and the increasing number of those in their 70s and actually those in their 80s who have served 50 and 60 years who have left and posted, I'm 83 years old. I'm 85 years old. I have finally woken up. I've walked away from that. And they are not only the ones that are out, but the ones that are actually having to physically play the game of, I'm a good witness of Jehovah. And inside they're like, how can I get out of here? They are posting on Reddit. They are posting on YouTube. Yes, I think it is at least half, my brother, who know what's going on. And that doesn't count those who were in the process of waking up, the PIMQs, those who are still believing, still faithful, still physically in, so to speak, but mentally they're questioning, they're troubled, they're scared. They think Satan's trying to get a hold of their brain to leave Jehovah. They're all over the place. I feel sorry for them, but the PMOs suffer in another way. They get physically sick when they have to sit there and smile and listen to the BS spewing from the mouths of the representative of the Watchtower cult.
Well, you're absolutely right with that, Anne Marie. And I just want to thank Grace. Grace, thank you very much, too, for announcing that. We are on YouTube. I apologize for those people. We got a lot of people on YouTube right now, but thank you, Grace, for mentioning that. There's a lot of buttons here to push, a lot of buttons. I know it doesn't look like much when you watch it on YouTube, but I got a number of computers going here, and we got audio, telephone lines, but a lot of buttons to push, but we got the right buttons pushed, Anne Marie. Hey, let me just put a word out for the woman last night. I want to see if she's on. Her name was Paula, and Paula came on Touched by the Tentacles program last night, right near the end. She is from Alaska, so she appeared to be an astute, sharp woman, and we were looking forward to her coming on today. And I made a mistake with the time zone. She's in Alaska, so I guess she's 5 hours behind. So somehow, some way, we were getting all of the lines of them, the time zones mixed up. So I think I told her to come on at 1 o'clock, which would be, I was thinking of Anne Marie comes on at, 2 o'clock here. I don't know why I said that. I got to go back and check and see why I said it. I don't know. It's just kind of confusing, I guess. But anyways, Paula, are you on there with us? Paula, are you on there with us? And I did try to hunt her down. And I didn't get any answers today. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll come on a little bit. But anyways, if there's anybody out there that has a story to tell, now you have all been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. You must have something to say. Maybe even want to come on and tell us how great it was when you were a Jehovah's Witness. Maybe you want to tell us you want to go back. I haven't had that happen too many times. But I'll tell you, there are people that have gone back. Maybe you're one of them went back and then come out again. Well, why don't you come in? Maybe you have a story to tell us. Why don't you come on, tell us your story? You can do it right there on, the telephone line is right on YouTube. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do when Anne Marie talks here again. I'm going to take and I'm going to put a link. If you're listening in on YouTube, I'm going to put a link up. You can come on StreamYard. Now you say, well, wait a minute, Rick, I don't want anyone to see me. I don't have my hair done up. I don't have my makeup on or whatever. Don't worry about it. You can just come on audio. If you hit the link, it'll give you the option. You don't have to come on video too. Just come on audio is fine. And you won't be seen. You'll be heard, but not seen. So why don't you do that? I'll put the link up. So we'll do that, Anne Marie, see if we can't get someone to come on the StreamYard with us. Okay?
That sounds great. So many times when a commenter will come on the line, especially when I'm doing my shows, when I'm most aware of it, sometimes when a caller calls in to comment, they end up just, I guess, everything they've been holding in, they don't mean to, but it just starts coming out. You know, I was born in, my father was an elder. I was miserable. I never got to do anything. I didn't know why. I tried to stay faithful. I had a terrible time in school. I was beaten. I was sexually molested. You know, stuff just starts coming out. And I'm always hoping that that one knows you have time set aside for you and people like you to come on Six Screen Sunday and tell your story of being in the Watchtower. Your Watchtower story is important to all of us. You there, my brother? You want me to just go ahead and run my mouth?
Oh, run your mouth. I'm trying to type here and do some stuff to get the number up there so we can get it up on YouTube. It takes a couple of minutes to put that together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my brother Rick. I want to welcome everyone who's listening today and later in the archives. This show is also for you. This show is basically your story of your Watchtower trek, your Watchtower story. Everybody has a Watchtower story. And even though we share a lot of the same experiences, the same sorrow, the same fears, the same low self-esteem, the things that we saw that hurt us deeply, things that we heard that hurt us deeply, things that we were taught that confused the heck out of us. Today is Six Screen Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. This is the show on the six screens of the Watchtower. This is the show ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their Watchtower story. If you feel like coming on right now as we are live and just have a comment, a thought, want to share your story, you go ahead and hit *6 right now. Anyone want to speak up? Anyone have a thought?
It's Grace. I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to say that I have been floating back for some time now, but I also have other churches I go to. But anyway, today I was on Zoom, and there were 28 people in my congregation on Zoom. And it's normal if you're old and sick to be on Zoom maybe. But I noticed there were so many younger people, younger names, names I recognize. There's so many people that are on Zoom. And I'm thinking to myself, might those 28 people, at least some of them, be PMOs? Thank you.
Oh, no doubt. Is this Grace from Sweden? What's your name?
Yes.
Is your name Grace?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Grace. I just wanted to make sure I had your name correctly. And are you from Sweden? I'm trying to, again, see if I remember correctly.
Yes, I'm from Sweden. But I guess that was all that I had to say. But if you wanted me to say something else, is that when I was on those Zoom meetings and circuit meetings, what I know that they emphasize the blood issue. So they're going to keep, yes. So apparently they're going to keep at it about the blood issue. But I just wanted to ask something because I think I heard on Six Screens that they are leaving it up to your own conscience or something. So I wanted to ask if you know something about it, or Rick maybe.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that question. Grace, as far as blood transfusion and the issue of the Watchtower condemning and making blood transfusion, a big sin against God, the only thing they have kind of relented on a little bit are certain fractions of blood. And that is what the governing body has said is up to your conscience. But they have not said, as far as I know, never have said, and I don't believe they ever will say, that taking a blood transfusion is up to your conscience, because they are controlled. If somebody wanted to add something? I'm sorry, I hear an echo, so I keep thinking someone's wanting to talk. Did that answer your question, yes. Grace?
Thank you for answering me, because they were really emphasizing it, and all I could think was that they don't want to get sued because they're sued now for so many pedophiles. So they already have a lot of lawsuits, and I think that might be the reason why they are emphasizing the blood issue so hard now. They don't want to get sued again. Thank you. That's all from me.
Exactly. Exactly. And Grace, I'm really glad you asked that question. I think that there are others as well who are confused. Thank you so much. I hope you don't leave the show completely, Grace. We always love hearing from you. Is there someone that was trying to speak? I think I heard a brother trying to speak up.
Yes, this is Thomas Foss from Lawrence, Kansas. How are you?
Hi, Thomas. How are you?
Doing pretty good, not too bad. Just thought I'd kind of pop in here for just a little bit. Yeah, he's talking about that blood issue. I think Grace is kind of right. I believe the same way that the Watchtower is just so concerned about the loss of, lots of money if they went ahead and made it a conscience matter, because there would probably be a big old backlash of lawsuits. We'll never know how many people probably for sure have died, but we know it's probably, oh gosh, I bet tens of thousands. I mean, I've even heard it could be possibly maybe 50 to 75,000 people, but we'll probably never know for sure. But we know there's thousands upon thousands that have died from this horrible policy. It's all man-made theology. There's nothing in the Bible that would even begin to suggest that you can't have a life-saving blood transfusion. It should be a thing that a person could freely do if they really need it. But the Watchtower, they're just relentless and standing up on this is the right way, and it's really not. We know that for a certainty.
Okay, Thomas, I need to interrupt and make 2 points.
Sure.
Grace asked if the Watchtower had made the taking of a blood transfusion a conscience matter. As far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, as far as I know, the Watchtower has never allowed the taking of a blood transfusion a conscience matter after they made it a disfellowshipping offense, I believe, in 1962. Before that, they didn't really say too much. They didn't like it, but it was a conscience matter. They didn't come down hard with their Watchtower hammer on the rank and file about blood transfusion being a disfellowshipping offense until, I believe, 1962. Now, I do know a few years back, 2003, 2006, I have no idea when, but it was some time ago, and they said it very quietly, maybe in one of those little questions from readers. When they make a change in their really hardcore policy and then they make a little change, they kind of do it quietly, the same way they did with organ transplants. They had ranted and raved about how organ transplants was akin to cannibalism and nobody could get an organ transplant. And then one day, in the question from readers in a little box at the bottom of a page in a Watchtower, I read about them changing their mind. They just said, well, a person might think according to their conscience that it's okay. Like it's really up to them, between them and Jehovah. And I'm like, really? So all of a sudden witnesses are getting liver transplants, kidney transplants, heart transplants, as long as they don't take the blood. Now, as far as the blood transfusion, again, I do not believe, since they made it a disfellowshipping offense, I believe in 1962, for taking a blood transfusion. I don't think they have ever relented on that. But I do know that they made it a conscience matter as far as certain fractions of blood, that it was up to the Jehovah's Witness. Now, if they have changed that, and please, edify me, because we don't want to confuse anybody.
No, I've not heard anything. I'm like you on that.
Well, I'll tell you. Hold on one second, Tom. I'll just interject here. I did call the legal department a while back. It's a number of years ago. And when all the blood fractions and what you could take, what you couldn't take. And I contacted the Watchtower to ask them what the position was if one did take a blood transfusion. And they put me in touch with the legal department of all departments. And I talked to a legal representative from the Watchtower. And I asked him, would you be disfellowshipped if you took a blood transfusion? And he told me, he says, Brother Farron, at the time he thought I was a brother. So he said, Brother Farron, I will tell you that we will not disfellowship you if you take a blood transfusion. But, he had to put a but in there. He says, but if you take a blood transfusion, you'll disfellowship yourself. So how are you going to interpret that one, Anne-Marie and Thomas?
Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's the same thing. I mean, in a sense, because they still shun you. If they know about this blood transfusion, they will shun you. They won't treat you the same at all. So there's not too much difference. They just won't make the announcement.
Well, you're right. There's no difference. In other words, if you're, in fact, Dick Borgie once, he in fact, one of the sharpest phrases that he ever made, when he heard me say that before, because I have told this before on the 6 screens. So if that is the case, if a person can actually disfellowship themselves, couldn't they reinstate themselves? I thought that was a bright deduction that Dick made once. I mean, if they're going to be that silly, and we always use the term, you guys have heard me say it before, how do you make sense out of nonsense? Well, the penalty, like Thomas just said, is the same. It's the same whether you disfellowshipped or whether you disfellowship yourself. You're going to suffer the same consequences, the same punishment. That's nuts.
I was just going to say something about Bulgaria. Long time ago on the internet, it came up, but they made it a conscious matter in the country of Bulgaria. That was a long time ago. And then they forgot about the internet. And boy, oh boy, they changed that tune before long. It wasn't too long, and the word got out. Boy, they really changed their mind about that one.
Well, Thomas, good to hear you here on a Sunday afternoon. I'm just going to see if we do have this Paula on with us out there today. Is Paula on with us? The lady that was untouched by the tentacles last night. Would love to have her. She was going to come in, but I made a mistake. I think I did give her the wrong time to come in. She's in Alaska. I guess they're 5 hours behind, but that's why I got some new clocks coming. You don't see them on the wall now. I got some nice digital clocks coming so I can keep track of time all around the world because it gets so confusing. We even have a person calling in here today from Sweden. I have no idea what time it is over there. Probably 15 hours ahead. But how would you know that? This is an international program. But what I want to say, if there's anybody on here right now that would love to come on this program and tell us your story of how you fared in the Watchtower as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. What was it like? Don't be bashful. Come on. Tell us, what was it like when you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses? You don't have to go on for a whole long time, or we'll give you the forum to go on for 15, 20 minutes if you want. So why don't you come on? Muster up the courage. Just hit *6 on the telephone pad. Or if you're listening in there on YouTube, you can see that link on YouTube. Just hit it. Hit the link on YouTube, and that will bring you in. And I think it would be fantastic to listen to someone telling us how they fared while they were in the Watchtower. So why don't you give it a try? Why don't you give it a try? You're on the 6 Screens Telenetwork, and it's so neat to be able to have all these people coming in on Sunday. We usually don't have this many people come in, but we're glad we have them today. So why don't you come in? Let me see if we get some comments on here. Let me check the YouTube comment box. Let's see. Okay. Well, we're all agreeing that, the truth was not the truth. So if you'd like to come on, I tell you what, I couldn't, when I left the Jehovah's Witness religion, I couldn't. I wanted to tell everybody about my trek in the Watchtower, even people that never were associated with the Witnesses. I couldn't stop talking about it. I'd be talking to people at the supermarket. I'd be talking to the meat manager. I'd be talking to the man at the gas station and telling them, hey, do you know the Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult? But what better place to come on and tell your story than right here on YouTube? On Facebook, people are going to hear it. It's on the internet. It's going to be in cyberspace. Get it off your chest. Come on and just say, hey, I have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. Don't be bashful. I really would love to have you come in. I see a lot of new ones listening in on the telephone line. So just muster up the courage. Hit that *6. *6 will bring you on. Were you treated right? I don't know if anyone listening to this program today can tell us that they were a happy camper. Everything was just hunky dory while they were in the Watchtower. I don't believe there's a person listening to this program today. They'll say, "Oh, Rick, I love being one of Jehovah's Witnesses." Now, I'm sure there is. In fact, even when you were a full-fledged witness, you must have been in kingdom halls where people just were totally in love with the organization. But were they really? Oh, they were just saying it to get brownie points. Really, I can remember people like that. Geez, they thought that, oh, this is so wonderful being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Did you really think it was wonderful? Why don't you come on and tell us about it? You don't have to go into a big story. Well, was it a wonderful experience being one of Jehovah's Witness? What do you think? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Farron.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, I see we're not getting any calls in today and so forth. And well, my particular story, I've never been an active witness, but I studied with it. I was heavily involved.
Hey, Ken, I'm gonna have you hold on 1 second. Well, I do have a taker here. I'm gonna bring you right back. Let's yeah, you but you stay
Go ahead and get a caller,
and then get you back. 517. Go ahead, 517. You're on with us.
Hi, this is Charlie, and I was listening to the program you had on last night that was giving the Friday assembly video, and I had something just pop into my head that just can't seem to pop back out. When they were showing originally in the video of how they were locking up the Kingdom Hall, and then sending people to, individuals' homes on the down low. And it was occurring to me, I've heard a lot of, different people complaining about how they, had long time ago paid and put their sweat and labor into building their Kingdom Hall, and how it was paid off, and all of a sudden they're being shipped 45 minutes away to a new Kingdom Hall while theirs was sold. And it started to dawn on me that probably not everybody is going to just sit back and say, wow, what's going on, and complain in the shadows. I was thinking that possibly this video might be a strategy showing how the government's going to come down and lock up your Kingdom Hall and take it. So they'll be the owners of it. And maybe they're going to reason that before that happens, they're going to take it and sell it. And then for the good of the congregations, have this money available when they're going into this traumatic time of, being persecuted by AKA government, police and such. It's just a thought, because I do know there's some people that aren't very happy about losing their congregations and having to travel far and losing all the funds and work they've invested in it.
Well, Charlie, I'm so glad you called back in today and talking to us. And you're an astute woman. Obviously, you're picking up things. You got your antenna up, as we would say. And most witnesses don't, but you're picking up things that, you're not a witness anymore. I'm not calling you a witness, but I'm saying even Jehovah's Witnesses going to the meetings, their antennas are not up. And by the way, I wanted to tell you too, your books are on the way. You should have them this week sometime.
Oh, wow.
All right. Oh, yeah. No
good,
way.
Good way of keeping track of people.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm trying to keep track of everybody here. Our 6 rooms.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. Our 6 Queens mailroom is just going crazy. Anne Marie, did you want to say hello to Charlie?
Absolutely. Charlie, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I have been listening. I'm always listening in. Rick works so hard. I don't know how he does what he does. He's like,
no, I don't either. He's a good.
So you are completely out, if I understand correctly, out of that cult?
Yeah, somewhat, sort of. I'm still kind of on low because I'm still kind of on down low because I have a family member that is the only one that talks to me anymore, and the person is very important to me, and I think I'm important to them as well for support and whatever. So, yeah, but I mean, they're totally in. So I just, it was a huge loss losing all my family that wasn't witnesses growing up, and then, leaving and then losing the rest of my family. So that's painful. I'm not ready to do that. It's just
Right. Okay. If you want
talking about it anywhere, because I do know there's ears in there, but.
Yeah, Charlie, I really want to hear what you're saying. It sounds like it's so hard for you that you kind of speak quietly, or maybe it's just my old ears. I don't know, but it kind of sounds.
I'm sorry.
No, don't you ever stop. Don't ever say you're sorry. I'm working on that myself. I charge Eric a quarter every time he says it. So it sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, that you have kind of had a very slow, painful process of becoming aware, of becoming a PMO, physically in, mentally out, and that you have slowly kind of sort of lost the feeling of closeness to several people in the organization, and you now are basically hanging on to one that's left. Is that kind of sort of it?
Correct.
What was that?
Correct.
Oh, honey, tell me more.
Yeah,
tell me more.
Well, that's just basically it.
Well, do you have
to be in agreement? And,
what was that, dear?
I just have to, kind of be in agreement and keep your mouth shut and listen and cringe sometimes.
Oh, honey, bless your heart. Oh, my God.
I'm not alone in it. I'm not alone in it.
I am concerned that you suffer from loneliness, fear, frustration, anxiety, a lot of maybe sleeplessness. How, may I ask, how is your average day and night? How is it for you, my sister?
Actually, it's been a long time, so I'm very much aware and comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends, so it's just the family, it's the family that's the loss. I'm just trying to hold on to a family member.
I understand that. I do. And if I may interject just a minute, Charlie, this is an example, a tiny example of all the little hooks that the Watchtower digs into you so that you can't get away, that the process of trying to extricate yourself, it's not only fear in your mind, the emotional trauma, but the trauma of all of those relationships that you felt so comfortable with, even the ones that were maybe casual relationships that you'd see maybe every few months at a convention or something. Oh, hi, sister. So, oh, look, your baby's gotten so much bigger. How cute. Oh, my God, your son's such a cute little guy now. You lose that. And it's so, they were so much a part of you. Relationships. Human relationships are built into our DNA. We are created with the need and the desire to belong to a group, to belong to a tribe, to belong in a family. And Watchtower knows that, and they get you on all three. The need to belong, the need to belong to a tribe or a group, and the need to belong for a family. And that doesn't count the close friendships. The friendship where you could be there and they'd be there for you, and then to know that they could suddenly turn on you like you are dog doo-doo.
Yeah, it turns them into superficial friendships, not true, genuine friendships. But I do understand, what's going on in the mind and the risks they would take to continue those friendships. So, not really blaming them, but I mean, if it was a genuine, valuable friendship, then they wouldn't have lost you.
Exactly. If love and friendship is conditional upon your belonging to a cult, to your believing whatever the cult teaches you, and then when that cult gets new understanding, you have to adjust your thinking and just believe without asking questions, and you have to obey, and you have to promote, and you have to work for, and above all, and this is the number one commandment in any cult, especially in the Watchtower cult, the number one commandment is, thou shalt stay loyal without question to the Watchtower organization.
Not open your mouth whatsoever in any form, shape.
I know, my
true.
sister, and
but
they have
what you're saying about the community and family and all that. I mean, they've done studies that have proven that children who have a large community, including faith-based communities and neighbors and family and all that, the more people that they have close relationships with in their life, the better they do in life. So when you take that away, for example, some of these young people that leave when they're just, very young, especially if they were born in or came in, their parents came in when they were little and that's all they knew, then they're missing out on, they're losing everything that was their support system completely.
Exactly.
And a lot of time they get put out because of, alleged wrongdoing, whether it's accurate or just, I had a question about this, and then, you got to keep your mouth shut. So if they lose it that way, they may still have, believing in it, and then they have self-doubt and guilt feelings and all the rest of the garbage that goes along with
it. Is such manipulation.
But I'm really wondering if this is a strategy of showing this video coming up to some people that will be attending starting on Friday, where they're having government officials locking their kingdom halls, and why not the organization take them instead with the excuse that they're going to lose it, put fear in the owners of the members of the congregation that have put all their hard sweat and life into doing that, only to be sold down the road. It won't be as hurtful feelings if they think the government's coming after it. It's a strategy to, keep the organization in.
Charlene, I want to thank you. Thank you for bringing up that point, because it kind of bothers me, and I'm sure it concerns Rick as well and others who have awoken to the truth about the Watchtower. How can these faithful Watchtower loyalists, these Watchtowerites whose God is the Watchtower, how can they remain faithful, stubbornly and arrogantly faithful, when the Watchtower, over at least the last 20 years, has been shutting down, closing down, and selling off branch offices, I don't know how many assembly halls, and at least over 5,000 kingdom halls have gone on the chopping block. Halls, many of these kingdom halls have been built by the brothers, and they have sold them off and pocketed the money. How can the Watchtowerites see all this? And you brought out that they are trying to divert their attention with these videos about the Gestapo and the SWAT teams coming in, and that's what so it diverts their attention. Great point. Thank you.
Well, in their attempts to dumb you down, some people are smart and they do question things, even though there's this effort and this threat of being too smart for your own good or for their own good. So, they have to put in they're losing people. People are getting smart. They're starting to see things. When you start selling off buildings that these people started in, maybe a hall somewhere, the small group of people needed a kingdom hall, so they pulled their own money and blood, sweat, and tears to build that
Yeah.
pay it off, to have it just whipped out from under them, and now they have to travel 45 minutes to get to the meeting. And now they're being condemned because more than half of them are going on Zoom. They're not driving, but they can't afford to drive. Gas prices are $4 a gallon. You can't drive 40 minutes and subject yourself to COVID.
Well, Charlie, I want to thank you for bringing up this incredibly important perspective. How can you brought up that basically friends and love and belonging is conditional upon your faithfulness to the cult, how it affects you, and how they have been selling off all these properties that many faithful Jehovah's Witnesses have literally not only worked for. How many carpenters and drywallers and plumbers and electricians have donated
just laborers pounding a nail or picking up shingles.
Oh yeah, and that doesn't count the ones that got hurt, that got injured, and you have to pay for your own hospital bill.
Yeah,
and
the females making food to feed the group, and food they purchased on their own dime, and
I've heard of witnesses that actually took out personal loans in order to help pay for the Watchtowers, Kingdom Halls, Assembly Halls, and then down the road, like you said, just to have Watchtower take over, sell off the property, and they pocket the money. How can the Watchtowerites not see what's going on? And like you said, and I'm so happy you brought it out because I never thought of it. They have these videos.
Started bothering me because they're all talking about they're going to take your home. And I've seen that happen. Not that they took it, but people gave up everything because they're going to die at Armageddon sometime in October in 75. Whether they say they didn't say it or they did say it, I saw it. They said it.
Yes, they did.
We didn't assume anything.
Yeah.
But people believed, we were just stupid.
No. We were never stupid.
We're pretty smart. As a matter of fact, we're pretty smart. But, I know there are going to be people, if they do that, and they start, let's say something does start happening in some of these other Western countries, and they do, because I think they'll prepare them for it in advance of it possibly happening. And they'll use these countries that have already started to wise up and discipline them for the way they're behaving. Maybe not in all of the countries, but I mean, the countries it's happening in, they're pretty established, reputable, respectable countries, according to public opinion or whatever. So they think, it happened there. They're going to capitalize on that happening to them.
Well,
and the ones who don't see what's happening, the ones that don't see, they believe that they're being persecuted, not that they're doing something that gives a country that's giving you lots of money a stomachache, so they shut it down. They don't see it that way. They're being told it's persecution. They can't look into the truth because now they're in trouble.
Well, I want to hop in here, Anne-Marie, for a second. If you don't mind, I just want to say hello to Charlie once again. So, Charlie, you saw that convention video from what you've been saying here. I believe you were listening in to the DNC program last night with Connie and Dick and Angela. Did you hear that program last night?
Yeah, part of it. I fell asleep, so I had to watch the rest today. So
they got...
and it just struck me. Wait a minute.
They got a whole lot of people listening in. I couldn't believe it because even at midnight there were so many people still on. They wanted to hear more about that. But that video,
it's disturbing.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. I can even tell even we are not connected with the Watchtower anymore. It's really disturbing even to you, and it really disturbed me too.
Yeah, I have loved ones that are.
Yeah,
right. Loved ones, and although they research everything, they don't look into that because they're not allowed. They won't look into it. They won't.
Well, it wasn't necessary for them to go that far. That video they produced, the very opening of the video, it shows, first of all, it's on the business news I can tell because it was on what it was the witnesses were looking at this video, Jehovah's Witnesses. It was on the business news, so to speak, and it was showing a Kingdom Hall, the powers to be. It looked like Gestapo people taking the JW.org sign off the building. And first of all, that's how it started. So if you were a loyal Jehovah's Witness and you're seeing them take the sign down like that would be really frightening. And then the whole theme of the movie was it was showing Jehovah's Witnesses now running somewhere, and they all went, of course, to this one particular brother's house, and he had the literature all hidden in it. Yeah, so something. But I mean,
It was silly.
Yeah, who's that?
Hey, I was listening. I got a comment to make. If you go on YouTube and you go on Silence No More TV, you'll see why they're doing it. Because if you get on that program, they got nothing but witnesses from all different parts of the country they met. And they interviewed every last one of them. All of them want to commit suicide. And then they went into detail the lawyer who's trying the CSI cases. And he got a gag order on him. That's why they're preparing everybody, telling everybody that don't listen to the governments. They're going to come after them. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble. If you get on that site,
everybody hate the police.
Well, it's not that. It's not that in Pennsylvania and different places.
Oh.
They never took care of business. They leave it on the elders to do all that when these kids are abused. It happened in my family.
Oh,
and nothing ever gets done. But the thing about it is they put everything on the elders, and the elders, to me, I wouldn't be an elder. I've been going to Kingdom Hall since the 50s. I would never, ever be an elder because you got people who are unprepared to deal with those stressful things. You got people who they always come to you with family problems. They tell them the wrong thing, and you're responsible for what you say to a family. Mm-hmm. You're breaking up families, and that's why they distance themselves. That's why when you call the society, that you don't know who you're talking to, so you can't prove nothing at all. And if you look up Ted Jesser, you look up Greenleaf, you look up all these guys, see what they did, it will blow your mind because they're not really good people at all. They've done some stuff, and people or witnesses, they walk around like that's not true. That's all made up. No, it's not. It is true. Because people, when you deal with witnesses, they all say the same thing. Oh, I can't wait till this is the man. Well, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You going to sit in the house and put aluminum foil over your head? Or are you going to place more magazines to make more rich?
The Gestapo to get there?
Well, this Gestapo is already going to come after them. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble. You can't do that to people's lives. You can't tell them not to get an education. You might as well live in North Korea. Because North Korea is like that.
Sure.
Well, what's happening, brother? No, in fact, I'm so glad you came on. Can we get a name? I think you've been on the 6 screens before, have you?
Yeah, I won't give my name, but I will say this. I've been through it. I've been in a lot of halls. I've dealt with racism, dealt with racist elders. I've been threatened to get this fellowship for nothing. And I tell you, you can't live your life. They take their life away from you. And once these people get a certain age, and they age out, nobody cares about them. They'll be in a nursing home. Witnesses don't go to nursing homes and go after the brothers and sisters are old. They don't go out. You ain't at the hall. You're out of sight, out of mind. They don't care.
That's true.
Brother, can we have a fake name? Just a fake name to return?
No, I don't want to say it because I have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I love your comments, and you bring up really good stuff, especially when you said what the Watchtower does to us, putting all these restrictions. Don't get educated, can't play in music, you can't do this, you can't have that, you can't talk to this person. It's like North Korea, like you said, every little thing, every breath you take is critiqued, and you face punishment and being ostracized. And I like to thank those that bring up such incredibly good points, important points, like you said. And it doesn't matter. Call yourself Santa Claus. I just want to thank you. If I can have any, I'll just call you XJW man or JW. I don't know. Is that okay?
Okay. That's
Thank
okay.
you.
But I'm just saying, when they built these Kingdom Halls and these 70 halls, I remember they asked for donations and they brothers and sisters loaned money to them to get all that built because they never had 70 halls until 1970. They didn't have that. Then they started building 70 halls, and we met in the Kingdom Halls. They redone them all over. But, the thing about it is, okay, you did all that. That's fine. But tell the people the truth. Stop curtailing people and telling people you're going to die. So Joe's going to kill 10 billion people on this earth, and only we're going to survive? And half the people in the hall I grew up with, most of them had sex, and I knew elders' kids sell drugs. I know all that. I know about girls who got molested. I know all that. I don't know how people can live with themselves, and every time you talk to them, we're so close. Close to what? You're close to end up dying. I'm getting older. I don't have no money. I have education I had to fight for. So how can they tell you, okay, if you're okay to get married, as long as you put your hand up and answer, you spend time out field service, that makes you qualify to be a good husband or a good wife. That's crazy. That's why marriages don't work. That's why marriages don't work. Then they get home, the man's on watching porn or beating up his wife. It doesn't work like that. You have to know a person when you're getting involved with a person. That's why hometown people marry hometown people, because they know the background. You don't know the background of witnesses. You don't.
And you have 5 people to choose from.
That's it. That's it. And it's not good.
It really isn't funny.
I have to go.
I'm laughing because it's
I have to go.
Well, brother, I really appreciate your. I really appreciate you coming on. I like your passion. I really, really do. It sounds like you. These guys have really touched you in a bad way, and I'm with you 100%. I'm on the same train you're on. These guys are bad. That's why we expose them. But thank you for coming on and being with us. Don't be a stranger now. Come back and see us. All right.
Rick, how can it be apostate lies when every single person that has the courage to speak up is telling the exact same truth?
Oh, Charlie, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point that you just brought up. Did you ever hear anybody come on here and say that what we're really speaking is not the truth? Now, if we went into a Kingdom Hall, they'd tell us that. But everybody, how can we have hundreds? Listen, I've been doing this program now going on 20 years. And I have to tell you, I've heard the same thing over and over again.
Over and over and over again. Everybody says the same exact truth with the same exact language, vocabulary.
Yeah, it's like we all came from. It's like
the vocabulary is.
It's like we all came from another planet, and we all share the same thoughts. It reminds me of Dorothy. Exactly. It reminds me of Dorothy coming back from the Wizard of Oz. I mean, she was just, whoa. It's like all of us came back from somewhere, and we're all telling the same story, Charlie. Yeah.
And we all have to be all three. We all have to be the scarecrow with no brain, because you can't use your brain, and you can't use your heart, and you also can't use your courage.
Yeah.
Because you'll just be slashed right down.
And then the big wizard, well, he was behind the curtain, right? That's just how it's been here in the Watchtower. They're hiding behind something. I liked it when that brother was just on. That brother was not over embellishing.
No, he told everything he said is the truth.
Yeah. So, this is what you just said, though. You got me thinking. I never really thought of that. But yes, we're all telling the same story. And I have to tell you, there's some people that have extreme abuse. Like this woman, she's going to be coming on in 2 weeks. This woman that was on Barbara Anderson, she has a program here on the 6 Screens too. And the woman's name is Deanna. Well, she calls herself Dina, but she spells it like Deanna. But Dina is going to be coming on in 2 weeks on the DNC program. And this woman, if you want to talk about extreme abuse in the Watchtower, she's been married 4 times, 3 times to Jehovah's Witness losers. I tell you what, she had me right on the edge of my seat. She's going to be coming on in 2 weeks. It's going to be a great program. And she's got, some of us, Charlie, maybe you got through okay and you're doing all right today. But some people, I'll tell you, they have been really hurt by this organization. Terribly, terribly.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a struggle. You don't just come through and, if you have some sense of self and who you are and that you're a good person, not an apostate devil, because apostasy is defined a correct way and it's also defined an organizational way, and it's two different things.
Well, Charlie, what I even do is sometimes you don't believe it, but maybe you won't believe it. I don't know. But I actually say, man, Rick, can you get over this? You're going on 20 years with the same old message. I can't.
But you're helping people.
This message.
It'd be nice to just walk away, but you have to help people if you have a heart at all.
Well, that's how.
And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. And I agree pretty much with just about everything you say, because we've all lived the same truth.
There was a woman there on Fox News yesterday, and she got hit by a train. I think it was in New York. I'm not sure, but she was hit by a train. And the train wheels, it cut her leg off. So here she is on the tracks. She took off her shirt and she made a tourniquet and wrapped it around her leg to stop the bleeding. Imagine that. And she said nobody helped her. Can you just imagine being on a train track and your leg was just cut off and nobody's even coming to help you? It's the same way now, obviously, people leaving the Watchtower aren't in that much pain. I'm just using it as an analogy.
Even ones still in that need help don't get help.
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. It's that's exactly what's going on with many Jehovah's Witnesses. There's people listening to this program right now, Charlie. They're probably all by themselves. They're probably in a room, their bedroom maybe, or in the living room, and they're sitting there and their family's not talking to them. They're distressed. They're being shunned. They're even crying. They're hurting emotionally. And that's going on in many places all around the world because of this dangerous organization.
Exactly.
Well, hang in here with us, Charlie. Let's see. Is there anybody else that would like to come on and say hello to us here? They're on the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their Christian, not their Christian testimony, but they share their story in the Watchtower. Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us.
Just a quick comment. I guess you were talking earlier, I think someone said about everybody dying, but Jehovah's Witnesses. But I think, didn't they sort of changed that recently, Rick? Remember now they're back. Sodomites could be resurrected, and I think they kept using the term. What is it? The Bible doesn't say. So I think they sort of indicated that maybe a non-Jehovah's Witness could maybe survive Armageddon. I guess that was it was brought out at the annual meeting and then in the Watchtower. So that's a pretty major doctrinal change. Yeah, but don't worry, Rick. God's going to still whack you, Rick. You're worse. According to them, you're worse than a sodomite.
Well, I'll tell you what. In fact, it's interesting you bring that up, but that was brought up at the annual meeting in October. Yeah. And what it was is they're now saying that they admit they don't come out and say we were wrong, but they say we make an adjustment. But the adjustment that they're making, see, they thought that once we got into the Great Tribulation, which of course they believe we're in, we're almost there. But once we get into this time of turmoil, which we're in, that people wouldn't be able to come to Jehovah. It'd be too late. But now they're saying no, they can come right up into the very day of Armageddon.
Right, because remember, Rick, they used the example of the flood. They said once that door shut, what was there, 7 days? When that door was shut, you couldn't get on the ark. So they paralleled it, and then that article brought out that maybe some of those that died in the flood could still be resurrected, which is obviously new light. Now I know in the past they'd gone back and forth on the sodomites, but
why do you think
came out with that new light this month?
Well, why do you think, Mike? Why do you think they changed it, Mike?
just to sound more less harsh.
Well, also to open the floodgates, let more people come in, right?
Yeah, no, sure. But I mean, what I find amazing is it's just that sounds more like, to me, that's like going back to like what they were teaching. The Bible students were teaching. They started. See, basically, the early Bible students, they didn't think God was going to kill everybody. Well, there wasn't that many of them. And then when they came out with the great crowd theory, it probably wasn't until the 40s, you either join the organization or you die. So to me, but when you do that, Rick, that kind of makes it, maybe people won't be as devout. Well, God may not kill me anyway. So it seems like you'd have less devotion. Before, when I grew up, my understanding was if you're not whole soul, God's going to whack you at Armageddon.
Yeah.
And if you go away from that, it seems to me like people won't be as devoted to it. But maybe,
Well, now, of course, you can come back. So if I was still a witness and I had bad thoughts, like, I want to live like the world. I want to get some gusto. I want to live in a nice big mansion. I want to go out and party every night. And that's what a lot of witnesses probably would like to do. So they're saying, well, I can do that now, but if I come back before Armageddon, I'll be all right. That's a
maybe
wacky way.
But also, it sounds like you could just stay in the organization and still do those things because they're not. It sounds to me like they're not going to be as strict. I mean, I'm thinking like they didn't say it, Rick, but I think pretty much it's the end of disfellowshipping unless you're an outright opposer. I don't think they're going to DF people. My understanding is they're letting people back in real quick that had been out for years.
Well, what they're doing is they have to try to get away from it. They'll probably always shun you though, but the countries now are coming down. The countries are coming down.
Right, but they said you could say hello to a DF person. I mean, it's just saying when you do that, when you start changing your views, you lose credibility. You don't have credibility. If you believe something, to me, if you're going to believe in something, you got to be devoted to it. You got to be a fanatic. And you start changing it, it tells me you're full of BS. You never believed it to begin with. Once you make up a story, stick to it.
Yeah, but Mike, you have to understand that part of the reason why they keep changing things, rearranging things, calling things old light, bringing it back as recycled light, they have to keep the witnesses thinking that they're learning something new. Wow, this is really the truth. Because if it was always the same, they'd be bored. They got to keep the witnesses on their toes. For all, this is a cult, and you got to keep them thinking they have the truth.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like when you change things, that, in my opinion, that just shows, like I say, you lose credibility. That's my view, because things are either true or they're not true. If you tell me something and then you change it, but maybe I look at things differently. I don't know.
No, you're right. You're thinking like a normal person. A cult member who is under cult programming, they are under heavy indoctrination. It's like Rick says, how do you make sense out of nonsense? But to an indoctrinated cult member in the Watchtower, all the nonsense makes perfect sense.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying, but look, there was plenty of people at the Kingdom Hall I knew. I think they were pretty smart. I don't think they were stupid. I don't think they were under any kind of mind control, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're right. I think there are those that aren't, and I think there are those that are, because they won't allow themselves for fear of lightning coming down out of the sky and striking them. That won't question, not because they're not smart, but because they're not allowed to think.
Right. I mean, well,
Smart.
Yeah. Well, they've changed so many doctrines in the last. I mean, in the last 20 years. They've changed so many things. They changed who the faithful and discreet slave was, what the governing body is, who they make. They've changed all kinds of things.
Exactly right, and it's a very different religion today than it was. For that very reason, But I know people, old people, that still go with what they're being fed. Blind faith, very intelligent people.
Well, it seems to me like the older people would be offended, allowing people to wear beards. Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, this is Chewy. Hey, Mike, this is Chewy. But you are right about the loss of sense of urgency. There is no sense of urgency in my wife. There's no sense of urgency in her congregation. Those people. There was a sister that showed up at my door. She forgot I worked virtually. She dropped off a little gift. She was working by herself. She's in her late 20s with 2 kids in the back seat. Nobody else in there, just trying to get in her time. Nobody else with her, Mike. Nobody else with her. By herself. She's the only one out. She probably didn't even go to a meeting for field service.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, when they said you don't have to turn time anymore, you don't have to go out.
Right. Exactly. The sense of urgency is gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to get it back. They're not going to get it back. Right.
That's why I don't understand. Like, to me, it's almost like maybe I'm crazy, but I'm almost thinking they just want it to fall apart. they want to destroy it.
Exactly.
And then take all the money.
Exactly. Right, exactly. Like I had another guy. I told Rick this earlier this week. I told him earlier. I couldn't believe it. This guy's he's a real winner. I couldn't believe, because obviously people know who I am, Mike. They know who I am. I put stuff on Facebook, very strong stuff on Facebook. They know who I am, right? This guy is in my front yard dropping off his dog with his wife. I've known his wife for years. She's out of earshot. We're going to take care of the dog while they go to the convention. And he says, "Hey, Chewy, I don't know what we're going to do in the congregation when a few of them, when the core passes away, which we're I don't know what we're going to do." I was like, good land. You know what you just told me? That's my mom's congregation. You just said it's fixing to disintegrate. Okay, the core is fixing to be gone and there's nobody left. You just told me that. That's where they're at,
Yeah, well, I guess, right now, basically, I think all religions are really going downhill. But when you become more liberal, I mean, even the Watchtower, they got a little more liberal. That's a bad move. You're gonna go downhill. Well, the United Methodists, look what they do. They just did. They really went down the rabbit hole. They're gonna fall apart. But I mean, it don't make any sense to me. But what do I know? But
yeah, Church of England the same way. They're falling apart.
Yep. Right. Well, yeah, because if you go along with the world,
Julie,
yeah.
Thank you. We're about 13 minutes into JW World News. I just want to check in with our brother Rick. Brother Rick, how we doing?
Well, let me take a look at the time. Let's go another 10 minutes, Anne Marie. We have a lot of people. I'll tell you what I'm noticing here. We are just having so many people come in here on Sunday. That's unusual. Something's happening, Anne Marie. Something's happening in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're leaving. I can see it here. We know that on Reddit, they're getting all these new people, all the YouTubers, but something is going on at the 6 screens. I can't believe it. So go another 10 minutes. Go ahead, Anne Marie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Chewy and Mike. I just wanted to check in with our brother. Please continue. Anyone that wants to come in and comment, share an experience, we do have another 10 minutes, maybe 9.5. Go ahead. You all didn't fall asleep that quickly. One thing I wanted to say, okay, I'm sorry. Any religion that doesn't let you think for yourself or use your own conscience, that should be a red flag all by itself. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to I said, hey, Mike, I told Rick this. Earlier, this project I've been on for about 2 months. I work virtually, and that's the only reason I've been able to do this. And I read this book when I was in the 8th grade, and it's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, written by William Shire, and that's the one that the Revelation book quotes so many times out of that book. And the reason I was wanting to listen to it again now, because I have the opportunity, is because I wanted to see what it said about the Jehovah's Witness, right? I wanted to see through the lens I'm looking at now, right? Now that I've been out for 10 years. And you know what? They weren't mentioned in there one time.
Well, they're not that important.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, but to fear her, he did say that he would exterminate the Bible students in Germany. So you gotta. He did say that, and he mentioned Brother Rutherford.
Right.
But you know,
it was just so funny because I was like proud when we were reading, when we were like studying the Revelation book. I was like saying, "Hey, man, I read the book, man. I read the book." And then here I go reading or listening to it on audio, and they're not even mentioned. Anyway, I got to go.
Well, you see any similarities between they're comparing Donald Trump to Hitler? I don't see the comparison myself, but that's what a lot of people in the media are saying.
Give him time, Joey.
Anybody want to comment? Go ahead.
No, I got to go. I got a buzzer going off.
No worries. I really am glad Mike's on. I missed him. Mike, I'm so glad you came.
Usually I work on Sunday. I'm usually at work today, but I didn't have to work today. So. But anyway, well, I was going to say too. You know, I don't know what anyone. Does anyone have any? I don't know if anyone. Maybe it's a little off subject, but what just happened here recently with Trump? You know, charging an ex-president. That's something pretty significant. So, I mean, I think that you know, there's never been a president before charged with a crime prosecuted like that. So that I don't know. What's that?
I don't think there's ever been a presidential candidate or president who has been systematically 24 hours a day for 6 years now, 5-6 years, constantly accused and smeared and lied about. And it's just horrible. Right after he got inaugurated, a whole bunch of women stepped forward and said he had sexually mistreated them and whatever. They just came out of nowhere. Guess what? They're gone. So many things that are said about him are just not proven, but everybody's got this rhetoric like, oh, haven't you heard? Don't you know? It sounds like the gossip in the Watchtower. But it's so sad that people need to remember, think for yourself, do the research for yourself, whether it's an organization, a company you think you might want to work for, a religion you think you might want to join. Just check out the facts. Don't let propaganda control your thinking. Think for yourself. Follow.
Well, I think people today generally are. I mean, yeah, there's more information you can get, but I think in a lot of ways, I don't think people are as intelligent today as in the past. They're
actually, if you look at what's going on right now, all of New York and most of the country really is in support of Donald Trump. And he has increased in donations, increased in popularity from his trial. And I can only link that to when Jehovah's Witnesses governing body says that these filthy apostates, this filthy Trump, it's the same slander. It's the same tactics. Demonize your enemy and make the public hate him. And that's what the witnesses do to us too. Thanks, guys.
Very well said. Demonize your enemy.
Well, Anne Marie, I want to come on. This is Rick. I want to throw this on the table. What do you think? Now, I might get some information on Jehovah's Witnesses feel about Trump. Would you guys think that now the Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to remain politically neutral, but they are starting to speak up according to some of the things I've been reading. So do you think the witnesses would be more in favor of Trump, or would they more in favor of Biden? What do you think?
Hey, Rick, this is an interesting topic because I'm going to talk about it on my show next week, politics and Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know how they feel about Trump. They're not supposed to like him, but deep down inside, my parents always followed the election. I think other people did too. And like you deep down inside had someone you maybe favored. But yeah, that's a good question, Rick. And I'm curious to see how they think about that.
The information that's been coming here that I've been getting and gathering, the witnesses, they like Trump. They kind of prefer Trump from what I have getting coming in here to the 6 screens. And one of the reasons is who bought 25 Columbia Heights? The Trump organization. So, they go back to that, not that should sway one way or the other, who they like, but they kind of favor Trump. I think they feel, they don't really voice their political opinions and thoughts, but I believe what the witness world is at least believing is when you take a look at that Kingdom Hall, that convention video that Dick and Connie put on their show last night, when you take a look at that convention video and you have these witnesses so scared to death, would they be more scared under Trump or more scared under Biden? I think they'd be more scared under, I'm not going to, give my political thoughts here, but I would say they'd be more scared under Biden because, we have Biden letting all these people in the borders and all these people coming into the country, many of them illegally. And at the same time, I mean, they're seeing this. The witnesses are seeing this. They're thinking, wow, what's going to happen to us? They're seeing a changing world. So just a thought, that's all. Who else would like to speak?
Hey, Rick,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I say just one last thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
I find it absolutely amazing that, and if I'm piss anybody off in the comment section or are listening, I'm sorry, but it is a fact that Donald Trump has won the black vote over. And I find it amazing. They call him the first black president because not even Barack Obama did what Trump did for the African-American community and for all of us. I'm sorry. What president had 0 wars under his rulership or his reign? I mean, none. Only him. I'm not trying to be political, but Donald Trump is the Larry Bird of political, because Larry Bird was a shit talker. He would talk crap to everybody. He would tell somebody, I'm going to do 3 dribbles, step back, throw it, and hit a 3 on you, and he would do it, and he would infiltrate the enemy's mind. That's what Larry Bird did. Because he could back up what he was going to do, and that's Donald Trump. He has backed up everything. Is the man perfect? No. Is he our Messiah? Absolutely not. But he's the most honest politician I've ever seen in my life, and I think he has our best interests at stake. And with that said, Jehovah's Witnesses would be foolish not to see that. Should we get involved? I don't know. But, at some point, if you don't get involved, tyranny takes over. But anyways, Rick, thank you.
Well, no, good comment, Derek. Now, if you like this subject, what do Christians feel on the Christian court today? Should a Christian really pray for their political candidate? That's going to be a question on the court. So by all means, join us on the Christian court today. Very fascinating program we get coming up. Well, I guess that, Anne-Marie, I think probably we'll end it there.
Yep.
What would you like to say, Anne-Marie?
Well, I would like to say thanks for the extra 10 minutes, and I want to thank everyone who came in. I love my beautiful 6 Screens family, and we thank our brother Rick for providing this platform. I want to thank Grace for coming in from Sweden, also Thomas and Charlie. Grace said something to Rick, and I really appreciated it. Grace said, you have to help people if you have a heart at all. And this is basically the bottom line, the core of why we do what we do. I also want to thank Mike and Eric and anyone that I didn't mention. I'm so sorry. There was a dear brother who did not want to give even a fake name. I thank him as well. And we need to go to our brother Rick for Sunday edition of JW World News. Rick?
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. We have got a lot of people. I was just saying that to Susan coming in on Sunday. We normally don't get this many coming in, but you know what's happening? I'm trying to figure what's going on. We've been on for so long now that we do have a good amount of people listening to the program. But one thing I'm thinking, This is like a clubhouse. This is like a clubhouse. People like to hang out in here. They really do. I mean, I'm thinking here it is a Sunday afternoon. People be going to the beach, going to picnics, going to events and fairs and carnivals and circuses. But no, many of them are coming right in here to the sixth screen. So I like that. Boy, I wish we had virtual food. I wish we could help you guys, give you some pizza, give you some cold drinks, because it seems like it's a great place for ex-witnesses to hang out right here on the six screens telenetwork. Now, don't you leave us. We still have a number of programs coming up here on the Six Screens Network. We got JW World News. That's coming up next. So stay with us. Did someone want to say something before we leave? Okay, I guess not. All right. So,
Hey, Rick,
yes.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you do. And I know you get it all the time, but you and Susan do so much for our community, and thank you so much. Because why are there people calling in on Saturdays and Sundays, and they got better things to do? Well, a lot of this is the broken, and you heal the broken. And would Watchtower ever heal the broken? No, they want nothing to do with them. If you can't donate, hit the door. Rick. So thank you and Susan for all that you do.
Well, really, I really appreciate that, Eric. I really, really do. And I want to thank all you guys too for what you do. It's look at, we're all in this together. And this is the network, this is the clubhouse, but all of you folks too, when you speak up, it makes that is the dividing rod right there. That works so good because people hear you guys speak up. If I did this when I first started the program years ago, I was the only one on here. There wasn't anybody. I was even wondering if people were listening to me. And I just kept going on. And then once in a while, a person would call in, talk. But it wasn't always that way. And so people would say, well, look at Rick. He's just there bloviating. He hates the Watchtower. But now, when you hear all these people coming in, it is evidence. And this woman, Charlie, that was just on a little bit ago, she said, Rick, it's the same old story. And that hit me. I've been hearing the same thing. So, are all these people lying? So people listening in, they got to say, whoa, it's not just Rick. It's Eric. It's Anne Marie. It's Charlie. It's Mike. It's all of Chewy, all these different people. So we're all on the same train. I want to thank you all as well. All right, let's end it here. We're going to JW World News Sunday edition. We're going to talk more about that convention video. That's coming up next right here on the six screens telenetwork. Stay with us. So we're going to move over, make sure I'm getting over to the next studio.